Hello, Janet here, and welcome to this 10-minute release and stretch for hip flexors, for hamstrings. This session's perfect for runners, but it's perfect for anyone, especially if you're sitting a lot of time at work. The hip flexors tend to get tight, so we want to open out the hip flexors, hamstrings, and then give them a stretch and get ready to feel and move better. So you need a couple of props for this. A roller. You don't have to have a full length roller like I have. Half a roller will do, ideally a smooth roller. Now a block, or you can have a book, or you can have a cushion or a folded up towel, and a belt or band. I've just got a dressing gown belt here. So first of all, we're going to open up our hip flexors. So we're going to use the roller for this. So if you think your hip flexors, where your thigh meets the pelvis, you can dig your fingers in to that soft area. That's what we want to have on the roller. So you're going to be forwards on the roller, and the fronts of the hips are resting on it. Your knees are bent there down on the floor, and you're also going to have your elbows on the floor. Now think about the rest of your posture as you're here. We don't want to be collapsing down in between the shoulder blades. So have a bit of stability in the shoulders. Feel the fronts of those hips where the thigh meets the pelvis on the roller. Now we're going to just lift the knees off the floor. The toes are going to stay tucked under, so your feet are flexed, lifting the knees up, and then we're just going to let the knees lower back down. We're going to go again. The knees are going to lift up. So feel the backs of your knees pressing up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to let them lower. And again, two more, so great for the knee joints as well here. Lifting up, then you're going to lower, and again, one more as you lift the knees up, and then you're going to lower down. Now just the right knee, lift the right knee, the left knee still on the floor. Now see if you can let your right leg hover off the floor, but without your hip lifting. We don't want the hip to lift here. We want to keep it connected to the roller. You're going to let the foot lower and then just let that leg relax. Let's try the left side. So first of all, it's the knee. If that's enough, that's what you stay with. Or you let that leg hover, but without your hip lifting up. And then lower down and release. Let's do 4 more of these. So if your hip has to lift up, just do the knee lift, and gradually, it's all about repeating this every day if possible. And you'll get more stretch and length in the front of the hip, and you'll be able to progress to this. And then you're going to lower and release. We're going to do 1 more each side. Again, you can spend a little longer doing this movement. But take your time, create that mind-body connection, create that awareness in your body, and then release, and then just let the knees lower. Now you're going to untuck the toes. You're going to walk your hands in towards you. Just move your roller to one side. I want you to feel how amazing the front of the hips are now. So I want you just to lie on your front. Hopefully you're feeling a difference in the front of the hips, and just let your forehead rest down. And even just staying in this position for a moment. The shoulders are down away from the ears. You can feel the front of that right hip connecting to the floor, as well as the front of the left hip. And we're just going to stay here as we take a breath in and letting that breath out. And again, 2 more, breath in, and just letting that breath out. And again, 1 more, take a breath. And then letting that breath out. From here, check that your shoulders are down and away from the ears, and just start to lift the head in that extension here. And then we're going to lower back down. And again. So we spend a large amount of our time bending forwards, whether we're looking at our phones, we're on a laptop. So we want to balance that out with this spinal movement. This is your extension. The front of your ribs stay on the floor, so there's no movement in the lower back. There's no movement in the pelvis. And we're just allowing those hip flexors to lengthen a little more as we lie in this position. And we've got 2 more, so you're breathing in as you come up. We're checking those shoulders are down away from the ears, and then lowering back down. We've got that one more time. You're lifting up, then you're going to slide the hands towards you, push yourself up onto your hands and knees. So now we're going to use that foam roller to release our hamstrings. We're using this to release any tightness in the muscles and all the connective tissue around them. So now you've got the roller just above your knees on the hamstrings. Hands are on the floor. Again, think of your position. We don't want to be sinking down here. We'll push the hands into the floor as the bottom lifts, and then we just slowly roll up towards the top of the hamstring and then roll down. You're not going to roll on the back of the knee. You stop before you get to that. And again, slowly just roll up like a giant rolling pin, massaging out that tension. You can always have one leg crossed over the other leg if you want to create a little bit more intense release. But whatever feels good for you. And again, you can spend longer doing this. We can even go to the side of the leg to release the IT band. We're going to add that in another recording, but you've always got that option while you're here to do the sides of the leg as well. But we're going to let the bottom lower down. You're going to move your roller to one side. Now we're going to stretch out. So the props we need, I've got a yoga block here, but you can use a cushion, folded up towel, anything like that. I've got a dressing gown belt, just a belt of some kind. You're going to lie down on your back, nod the chin to the chest. If your eye line is behind you, maybe have a little folded up towel under your head. You want your eye line straight up or slightly forwards. You're going to put your cushion, your towel, whatever you're using underneath your bottom, under the pelvis. So lift up, rest the bottom, the pelvis, or whatever you're using below you. So that just takes the pelvis into a bit of a pelvic tilt while we start to stretch out the hamstrings. So you're going to bring the right knee in towards your chest. You're going to slot the belt around the foot. Elbows are on the floor, so we don't have to be pulling the band tightly. We want shoulders on the floor. And we're just going to stretch the right leg towards the ceiling. We're aiming for the back of the knee to press back, and then we're just going to bend the knee back in. And again, we stretch that leg up, and then we're going to bend the knee in. And again, stretch, and then bend. Just 2 more here. And that leg might not fully straighten, but the more we do this, the more you'll lengthen that hamstring. Now let's stretch it, or as straight as you can, but without it going forwards. And leave it here for a moment. Give that muscle time to open up and stretch. So take a breath in through the nose as you hold this stretch. And then letting that breath out. And again, take a breath in. And then you're going to let that breath out. And one more time, take another breath. Again, you can spend as long as you want to stretching that, holding that stretch. It's all good stuff. But when you're done, you bend the knee in and you place the left foot in the belt or band, and you're just going to swap over right foot on the floor. Same thing on the left leg, you bend the knee in and then it stretches to the ceiling. And again, the knee bends and then stretches, and again. Now notice if there's any difference between your left side and your right side. If you're adding a weekly Pilates session even into your training or into your life, it's going to create symmetry in the body. It's going to stretch tight muscles. It's going to strengthen those weak muscles. And let's do one more. Bend the knee, stretch or as straight as you can, and stay here. Allow that muscle a little time to stretch and just focus on your breath as you do this. Breathing in, just letting that breath out. And again, in through the nose. Just letting that breath out. And again, one more breath in. And just letting the breath out. We're going to bend the knee. Take the belt or band away, place the foot on the floor, lift your bottom away from whatever you've got underneath it, and then lower all the way back down. Eventually, we want to be able to stretch the hamstring with the pelvis in a neutral position down on the floor, but for now, use a cushion or use something underneath your pelvis. One last release. We've opened up the hip flexors. Let's give those a little bit more stretch. You're going to roll onto your side. Again, think about your alignment and your posture. We want our Pilates plumb line. So you've got a line from your ear to your shoulder to your hips. We don't want this ear in front of the shoulder. Your elbow can be bent, acting like a little pillow, or you can stretch the arm. Now we want to keep these hips stacked on top of each other. So place your hand on your top hip, and then you're going to know if it moves back, and then you can stop it moving back. We're lifting the knee. So we'll open up this hip flexor, lower down, and again. So we're doing a movement in the hip, especially if you run that, you tend not to do. We're doing this external rotation. So we're getting that mobility in the hip joint. We're stretching out that hip flexor. We're working a whole group of muscles that externally rotate that leg. But as we do this, we want to make sure that the pelvis isn't rolling back. We want the pelvis to be still, and we just want that leg to do the movement. And we've just got one more here, and then you're going to lower down. Then you're going to push yourself up or roll over onto the other side. And let's do the same with the other leg. Before we do it, remember our Pilates plumb line, the ear, the shoulder, the hip. Have your hand on the top of the pelvis on that hip. Keep the feet together. Lift the knee, but without any movement in the pelvis, without any movement in the hip. And again, create that awareness. Notice how this side feels compared to your other side. Visualize that femur, that thigh bone just rotating in that hip joint. And again, we're just going to do 4 more here, and then lower down. And again, 3 more, and then lower down. And then 2 more here, and then release. And this is your last one as the knee lifts, and release it. Well done. Push yourself up. Now I hope that helps you move better, feel better, and enjoy. Thank you.